The following program is paid for and presented by John DeMasi. The opinions expressed are not those of Town Square Media or station advertisers.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
So the question is today, where is spring? Do you know? Is it lost somewhere? Oh, I'm tired of this every day. It's like Seattle and London, you know, rain, clouds. Maybe if we all buy rain boots, then the sun will come out and then we'll have spring. That's just a thought. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Also heard on 1450 AM and always online at WPGTalkRadio.com. So you have many ways to listen this morning here on Talk with a Purpose. And our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. 609-407-1450. We have another lively show planned for you. A couple of weeks ago, we got on this tangent of World War II, and all we talked about pretty much for the entire show was World War II and how they shouldn't have bombed Hiroshima or whatever. And the discussion was very lively. And then we come to find out today we're going to have a World War II show. Well, it kind of came together at the last minute. There's a memorial coming up, will be dedicated on June the 6th, which is the anniversary of D-Day. And we will have on the show at 11 o'clock this morning, Mike Bongiorno. He is a U.S. Army infantry veteran. And we will also have Marco Polo Smigliani. He is a merchant marine. He is a U.S. Marine Vietnam veteran. He is a 4-time Purple Heart recipient. Okay. So both of those gentlemen will be on the show talking about the Bernie Friedenberg World War II Memorial, which will happen, as I said, on June the 6th. Okay? So, if anything, and I've always wondered this, and we'll find out together, who is Bernie Friedenberg and why is he getting the memorial? Not that he's not worthy of it, but we'll find out. So that's what we'll look forward to. Also, the lively discussion about Trump and the trials, and we're going to do a little thing on JFK, and that's should be interesting. We'll talk about that, too, as well. 609-407-1450, that's our number here in the studio. So a very lively show in store for you today here on Talk with a Purpose. I'm going to make a rather bold statement, and it'll come at the end of this little diatribe here. First, on the upcoming election, how will voters decide who they are going to vote for? Motivation is a big factor in this election. This is according to a New York Times Siena College poll, and it was released this past Monday. 22% of the voters responded. They listed the economy as a primary reason, making their main motivating issue. So we give an advantage there to Trump. 13% talked about abortion. Advantage Biden, but if you take the two percentages, that's a 9-point advantage for Trump. See, I'm playing with the math here. After those two reasons, the third most listed reason was immigration. Again, advantage Trump. Back to the economy. More voters trust Trump than Biden. This poll found that an even greater percentage had a gloomy view of how the U.S. was faring. Again, all voters listed the economy as their top priority. Once again, as we said before, advantage Trump. In fact, another survey rephrasing the question, voters were asked, thinking about the nation's economy, how would you rate economic conditions today? 78% of Trump voters answered poor. 52% of all voters, this is Dems and Republicans, 52% answered poor. Remember, this poll was taken in Pennsylvania, a key swing state which Trump won in 2016 but lost in 2020. So there's a pattern here. And one more survey. After months of return visits to Pennsylvania and millions of dollars poured into political advertising, Joe Biden has not gained any ground in this key swing state. Now, the experts are saying it's a statistical tie, but Donald Trump appears to have a 3-point lead over Joe Biden in Pennsylvania. When factoring in RFK Jr., Trump leads Biden by 4 percentage points. It's 40-36. RFK Jr. has 10%, and I think that's going to hurt Biden. Also, Trump is leading on every key issue except abortion. He is leading on the economy. He is leading on crime. He's leading on Israel. In fact, when comparing Biden's numbers from a 2020 poll to this 2024 poll, he has fallen an average of 15%. 15% from where he was 4 years ago. Now, I told you I would come out with a bold statement. It's not that bold, but my conclusion, which I promised at the beginning of this, I finally am confident and am predicting, barring any other surprises, a Trump victory in 2024. That's what I said. After all of this and dissecting the survey and looking at the numbers, even though they say it's a statistical tie, as we said, the motivation for people to vote for Trump is very high because he leads in every category except abortion. So will the people all of a sudden say, well, Trump's a better candidate, but I'm going to vote for Biden? No, I don't think so. And there's a lot of other key voting blocs who have really soured on Biden, and justifiably so. He has not done a good job with anything. So that's why I conclude that there's going to be a Trump victory November 2024. And hopefully Trump will win and will lead us to the promised land. That's what I got to say about that. And whether you agree or not, I would like to hear from you. 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi, and we will bring in the one and only Seth Grossman, Liberty and Prosperity, and you will have 3 hours of Seth next week. We'll tell you more about that later. Seth, good morning.
Good morning. And I don't know if Trump is going to lead us to the promised land, but we're at libertyandprosperity.com giving you ideas of how we got to take ourselves to the promised land, regardless of who the president is. And if you want to hear what I said on this program, it's all posted on the libertyandprosperity.com website. But even better, I also post a couple days later what I wish I said, including the sources and charts, and it's all on the website. If anyone wants to talk about this in person, we're always at Sal's Cafe in Summers Point Groveland Avenue and New Road, 501 New Road, and from 9:30 to 10:30 every Saturday, we have these breakfast discussions, and all you got to do is tell us what's on your mind and pay for your own breakfast. And if you go to our website and you like what you see, please hit the buttons at the bottom of each post and share with your friends. And, of course, keep us on the air by donating to us so we can write checks to radio stations like WPG to keep our reserved spot. So a lot's going on besides the election. There's a backstory on Ed the Trucker, who's running for governor. I'd like to talk about him. I'd like to talk about the school board elections and how the Republican Party has completely abandoned parents in our public schools when it comes to school board elections. I'd like to do the follow-up on Boardwalk Empire stars Steve Buscemi and Michael Stuhlberg getting randomly attacked in New York and why I don't think it was so random. And then there's an interesting story in Louisiana. There's a Supreme Court case involving the 6 congressional districts of Louisiana, where blacks are 1/3 of the population of the state. And the Democrats sued to force the state to come up with these crazy congressional districts to guarantee that if blacks are 1/3 of the population of the state, then there should be 1/3 black congressmen elected, and how that ties into what's wrong with Atlantic City. So let me just take it step by step. When I gave that presentation on how to win a school board election into the New Assembly Church on Monday night, Ed the Trucker was also a speaker at that event, and he made his surprise announcement that he's running for governor. And all the publicity made it sound like I was there at the event as part of as part of his team. But I want to make it clear, Ed the Trucker is of course Ed Durr, who got elected to the Senate, state Senate 3 years ago by knocking off the Senate President Steve Sweeney. And he became a sort of like a folk hero, Ed the Trucker, the giant killer, and so on. But there's a backstory as to why Ed Durr won that election against Steve Sweeney. And it has everything to do with the teachers' union. You see, a lot of people don't realize that for years, the teachers' union has been trying to get a constitutional amendment in New Jersey that would force automatic tax hikes to fund the bankrupt teachers' pension fund, the same way we have automatic gas tax hikes to fund the bankrupt transportation trust fund. And basically, Steve Sweeney, even though he's a Democrat, even though he's a union guy, he knew that if we have a constitutional amendment to bail out the bankrupt teachers' pension fund, it would bankrupt the state. It would mean there'd be automatic state property taxes over and above our local county and school property taxes to bail out the pension funds every year. So he stopped it. And because of that, the teachers' union had a vendetta to make teach Steve Sweeney a lesson, and it was a teachers' union who knocked out Steve Sweeney 2 years ago. But a lot of folks think that it was Ed the Trucker, being the man of the people. So when he announces he's running for governor, remember that he's not the folk hero you think he is. He was just the guy that was useful that let the teachers' union knock out Steve Sweeney.
So that's the real story.
That's the backstory. The other thing about that came very clear Monday night when I was talking about the school board elections is every November we have school board elections with low turnouts, and of course the teachers union dominates these school board elections. They'll get teachers who work in different districts to run in a district they win in. They use their networks, they use their influence, and that's why we keep getting these woke school boards throughout New Jersey that are not only sexualizing our kids, but they're just giving this propaganda that tears down America and teaches this whole hateful socialist agenda. And you wonder where the Republican school board members, why don't they stop them? And even where you don't have elected school boards, you'll have districts like Moorgate where the mayor appoints your school board, and you still get these woke school boards. So what it seems to happen is the Republicans seem to have a gentleman's agreement with the teachers union, saying, well, we'll let you run the schools, but you just don't mess with our local elections. And that has got to end. And a good way to help it end is for parents and grandparents to take an interest in the school board elections and to be a candidate for the school board, even though there's a lot of headaches, a lot of aggravation, and even though you don't get paid. That's the first step to learning how to win other elections. And the deadline to file is the last Monday in July, July 29th. But if you're serious about running for the school board, we posted on our website, libertyandprosperity.com, everything you need to know to be a successful candidate for the school board. And if you could succeed in the school board, you could win any election anywhere. So I invite folks who are worried about the schools to have a look at that site. You can learn a lot. And, of course, come to a breakfast and talk to me anytime. I'm pretty much retired, so that's what I do now, trying to help younger folks and actually older folks, because the people who have the time for politics are your retirees, folks in your 60s and 70s. You may have never taken an interest in politics before, but you have the qualifications, you have the time, you have the money, and it's very easy when you learn some simple techniques to be a successful candidate for an election.
You are just an advisor. That's right.
Right. Giving forward. Now, another thing that's going on, I don't know if you saw that the two Boardwalk Empire stars, Steve Buscemi and Michael Stuhlbarg, randomly attacked. But we posted a whole series of articles during the past 4 or 5 years, pointing out that what seems to be these random attacks don't seem to be very random, because all of the perpetrators of these random attacks are black, the victims are white or Asian, and nobody knows about the racial makeup of the perpetrators and the victims, because for the past 15 years, the media does not give you the race of the victim or the perpetrator, unless the rare instance where the perpetrator is white and the victim is black, or where the perpetrator or alleged perpetrator is a police officer. But we've actually documented dozens of cases of people randomly being pushed in front of subways, of people of a Christmas parade, somebody randomly driving a car through a crowded Christmas parade and killing 12 people. And actually the first of these so-called random murders was when a black man murdered 12 whites randomly at the Washington Navy Yard. And it all started after the election of Obama. It all started after the movie Django Unchained with his hate speech. And I invite you to see what, why isn't anyone saying, what is the cause of this anger? What is the cause of this rage? That if somebody is having a bad day, they just want to beat up or just want to kill somebody of a different race. And it all comes down to socialism, that for a whole lot of reasons, black Americans today, whatever problem they have, they're blaming their problems on people of a different race instead of looking how to improve your own life. And that's socialism. That's how the Germans were taught to believe in the 1920s and 30s about the Jews. And you actually have the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, gave a speech yesterday in Spain, and he said, let us not let the dark, black, satanic, atrocious cancer of socialism prevail over us. And I think we got to start talking about, what socialism does to people's heads, and how what seems to be random crime are people just acting out, this socialist idea that you have a problem, it's somebody else's fault.
Wow.
It's just a light conversation for the weekend. I know you invite me on.
Yeah, that's heavy. That's a heavy conversation. Yes, it is.
And you can see that in almost every national story. Like the national news was focusing on Louisiana during the past week. That Louisiana has 6 congressional districts, and blacks are 1/3 of the population. So but because they're black are spread over the state, if you would just divide the state into 6 equal districts, only one of those districts would have a black majority population. And so the legislature set up the districts that way, that people who lived in a certain area of the state would have one representative in Congress. So the Democrats sued, and they said this was a violation of the Civil Rights Act. And they said that because blacks are 1/3 of the population, they're entitled to be elected to 1/3 of the seats in Congress. And so the Democrats drew up a crazy gerrymandered map, where the people in these districts, one district goes all the way to the other end of the state, and nobody knows anybody, and nobody has anything in common other than people in these gerrymandered districts have black majorities. And so the Supreme Court basically said that this is how the district is going to be. And to say that an achievement in civil rights is to get elected to office, and to say that black candidates are entitled to get elected to office without getting any support from anyone of a different race is really an evil thing, and it's hurting us in many ways. One of them is that people now see going into politics and government as a career move. If you don't have a job, you can't get work, go run for public office and get yourself rich. That was never part of the American way of life. It was always that the government was there to be the referee so that everybody follows the same rules. The government was never supposed to say which teams are supposed to win and which are supposed to lose, but that's that socialist thinking. And so now we have this idea that it's normal for people to want to get elected to office, and if you win, you take stuff from the people who didn't support you and you give it to the people who do support you. And that's corruption. It's evil. It's socialism. It's National Socialism. It destroyed Germany in World War II. It's what the Palestinians are all about. Instead of building up their own country, they want to blame all the problems on Israel and kill people in Israel and take their stuff. And unfortunately, that's what the black community is embracing right now. And if you don't believe it, just go to Atlantic City and look at Marty and Laquetta Small in Atlantic City. Anyone who looks at Atlantic City will see that the crime is horrible. The schools are not teaching. There's violence in the school, no academics. People are hired and promoted strictly based on race and politics. Now they're even going to have what's called a road diet, where now that the shore is getting busy, you see what happens where you used to have 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. Now you have 1 lane of traffic. But this is where Atlantic City is going. In fact, one of the most successful businesses in Atlantic City was a place called Fish Heads, successful black-owned seafood business. And yet that guy was put out of business because he had a petty, the Marty Small, the mayor, didn't like him for petty and personal reasons. And he just put out of business. So if you think this is a bad thing, then you should not be rigging the political systems to make sure that your race is the most important thing as to whether or not you get elected or you don't get elected. And basically what Atlantic City has done during the past 30 years, elected school board, changing to a partisan form of government, chopping up the city into 6 wards. It's all designed to make sure that the people can control the government without the consent of anyone who's not a member of their race. And that's where Louisiana is heading to. That's where Congress is heading to. But if what happens to America happens to Atlantic City first. And if you don't think Atlantic City is being run the right way and that we need to go in a different direction, we have to sort of question all this stuff that we're doing in Atlantic City. So there's the report. And again, every Saturday morning, 9:30 to 10:30, we talk about this stuff in person. And based on those conversations, we post this stuff on our libertyandprosperity.com website. So if you don't like what we're posting, just show up at a Saturday breakfast and tell us to come up with a different view. And thank you, and have a great week. And I'm looking forward to.
Hold on, next week you will be here,
God willing,
for the entire 3 hours, filling in for me.
Well, thank you. I don't know if that's going to be possible, so I'm glad you're giving your listeners a warning, so they could say whatever they have to say without any pushback today, because tomorrow, next Saturday, may be a little different. All right, listen, thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Have a good day, Seth. Seth Grossman, Liberty and Prosperity, the website libertyandprosperity.com. And they meet every Saturday, 9:30, Sal's Coal Fire Pizza on Groveland Avenue in Summers Point. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We'll get started with the calls. We have William, and then we have Bob, and maybe we'll have you at 609-407-1450. Yes, the calls will begin right after these words.
The finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere? Check. Award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets? Check. Baked goods and prepared foods? Check. They check all the boxes. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And that's not all. Gourmet items, specialty foods, and catering for all occasions. It's all right there. Check them out online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
And we are back here on Talk with a Purpose. Again, our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450, 609-407-1450. Let's get started with William in AC. William, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. You know, I could never envision myself being the first caller.
Well, here you are. Here you are.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting a little greedy here. But, you know, that's Seth. I tell you, you know, that bank account at that organization that he runs must be getting pretty low because he's like doubling and tripling down on, you know, blacks and people of color are all the problems in the world.
Well, I don't think he said that. Did you?
Well, John, you know, like you say, you don't think he said that, but I mean, he's been saying it every week, but today it was like just a triple dose. But you know, and also out of respect, the fact that he's a sponsor of yours, I mean, I've always been kind of tempered my comments about him, you know, because I mean, he, you know, brings in some revenue, but you know, I know his organization. I can't say I know, but you know, bigotry and racism pays, and everybody, you know, there's been a lot of people in the communications business that's done pretty well with it.
Yeah, but wait a minute, William. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, he wasn't talking about bigotry. He was talking about, he said, at least this is what I heard, that he said in a lot of cases, blacks are taught to blame other people rather than focusing on improving their lives themselves. That's what I got out of that. I didn't get...
Well, you know, I mean, I live in the larger world. Okay. And I always have, you know. And but he, you know, his whole thing is to... But I guess he figures that's a way to generate revenue, you know, is to... His whole thing is to just, you know, it's black. You know, like the fact that, you know, he was talking about the Louisiana, you know, the
congressional districts. Yeah.
You know, I mean, but his whole money raising thing is about, I guess he figures the more he can trash black people, and then he brings it home to Atlantic City, you know, the more he can trash black people, and, you know, this with socialist stuff, you know, the more he can trash black people, you know, the more that bank account for that organization he runs.
I don't think that's even the motivator.
Well, you know, John, I'm glad you don't think so, and I hope you continually not think so. But I think what I think is more important to me than I won't say what you think.
Well, that's all right. I mean, we may have differences of opinion. I still want to get you to vote for Trump, but that's another story.
Yeah, well, well, that's an ambitious goal.
Yes, I know.
Not of mine, but
of mine. Yes, I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will talk to Seth because I am a little concerned that you took that out of this. And I didn't take out the same thing. So I will talk to him and
no,
I will.
Let him be him. Let him be him.
I want him to be, but
he's got to get that. He's got to get that bank account up.
Well, he doesn't do it for that because that's not a motivating factor because he's got what he's got anyway. It doesn't matter if he talks about blacks from now until forever. He's not going to get considerably more people. He's going to get what he gets, but
now he's going to get a few checks. There's a lot.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Hey, listen, John. You have a beautiful day.
You too, William.
Always a pleasure.
You too. Thanks for the call. It's always lively. I mean, William should call first every time. Bob and Cape May. Bob, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Hello, John.
Yes.
Hey, John. Look, I can tell you that Seth is motivated by the truth. He's not motivated by money.
I didn't think so either.
Seth Grossman.
I didn't think so either.
And William, the statistics are the statistics. Okay, what we know in terms of black on white crime, it's the ratio is out of sight.
Right.
It's more like for every crime that a white commits against a black, it's more like 25 to 1. That you have 25 crimes committed by blacks against white people. Those are the statistics. Okay, you can call Seth, you can call me a racist for exposing that, but that's just the truth. So if if telling the truth makes you a racist, then so be it. But that's not our intention. That's not our intention at all. And Seth points this out. When you see vulnerable, like Steve Buscemi, he's a skinny old white guy.
Yeah.
When these criminals, and look, the vast majority in the big cities are young black men. When they see an easy target, they go after them.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth, okay? So but look, what I called about today is something I think we all should be concerned. And it ties in with your prediction that Trump is going to win. And yeah, most of us that listen to this show, we really hope Trump's going to win.
That's true, yeah.
But there is an eerie confidence on the other side. When you have a senile candidate running for president, an incompetent buffoon, yet they're not, the other side, the Democrats are not going to replace Biden. And what do they have up their sleeve? What is going on? And this is what I'm leading to here. It's a woman named Catherine Engelbrecht. Okay, she exposed the Dropbox fraud, election fraud. She exposed that with a movie she put out with Dinesh D'Souza. Well, this is what Catherine Engelbrecht discovered, and it's revealed in a podcast with Tucker Carlson. The election code, U.S. 18, are election laws that Congress passed. I don't know when they passed it, but it's in Title 18 of the U.S. election code. Okay? It's at the very end of this, in the fine print, it says a non-citizen, okay, so an illegal alien, okay, it is not criminally liable. They are not liable if they vote, because if they feel that they are U.S. citizens, that then they are not held criminally liable. Okay, so you can vote without penalty if at the time that you're voting that you believe you believe yourself to be a U.S. citizen. So it's all in the state of mind. Now, where this is leading to, these millions that have been encouraged to come over here, these millions of illegals, they are being actively registered to vote by various Democrat-affiliated organizations, NGOs, like Catholic Charities and other NGOs that cater to illegals. Illegals are signing up for welfare, signing up for food stamps. When you sign up for food stamps, welfare, and Medicaid, guess what? As part of that application process, there's also a voter registration form. They are being registered to vote. Okay. Now, the various states that control, each state controls its own elections. You're not allowed to ask for proof of citizenship.
Oh, so
you're aware of that, John?
So
you are not allowed to ask for proof of citizenship.
This whole process, then, what you're saying is, this is a sneaky way of really winning the election by pouring in thousands of illegals who now are legally okay to vote.
They're being actively recruited to vote, and the poll numbers that we are all thrilled about. We're all happy with these great poll numbers for Trump. Well, we may have a November surprise that really knocks us to hell.
Wow.
So you're having citizens of other countries determine who our president is going to be. That is what's going on. And you've seen these, when these illegals are pouring in, what do they say? Thank you, Joe Biden.
Yes.
So who are they going to vote for?
Joe Biden.
We already know that. So, and there's legislation that is proposed now by Congress, by Senator Mike Lee of Utah, okay, that will allow states to verify citizenship before the votes. So this illegal voting cannot take place. It's there. Wow. We have the databases, John. We have databases that can expose this problem. We can stop this illegal voting. We can stop it, but there's no, right now, Trump and the Republicans are not making this a priority. They're not making this a priority. And you see, once the ballots are cast, even if we expose it post the election, it's too late. Because once a ballot is cast, see, these are all, they become anonymous. Once you go to a voting machine, right, John?
Yeah.
Like in Florida, when I go to vote, I cast my vote, but my name is not put on the ballot. It just isn't.
Yeah.
You can't. Once it's done, it's over. Just like 2020 with the fraud we had then. But again, we better be careful here.
Yeah.
Trump was warned about universal mail-in ballots in the spring of 2020 and didn't do a thing about it. Is he going to repeat this mistake again?
I hope not.
Probably is.
Yeah.
Probably is.
Yeah.
Well, probably will.
Bob, thanks for all that information and thanks for the call. 609-407-1450. That's the number here in the studio. We have Craig after the break, and maybe we'll have you at 609-407-1450. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5, also on 1450 AM, and also on WPGTalkRadio.com, always streaming online. Those are all the ways you can listen. We will come back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment, but first, don't look now, but next weekend is Memorial Day. And it certainly doesn't feel like summer, but if you're having a Memorial Day gathering, you know what you got to do. You contact BF Mazzio. You either go in person or you go online or you call them up and you say, hey, listen, I'm going to have a barbecue and I want enough potato salad, coleslaw, macaroni salad, tomato salad, all of that stuff for 20 people. And they'll do it all for you. It's very simple. And that's the way, the Mazzio way, that you do the barbecue. And that's what I would do. And certainly you should do it too. BF Mazzio, 601 New Road in Northfield, the home of the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere. And I mean it, anywhere. I mean, they have things there that you will not find anywhere else. Prepared foods, baked goods, specialty items, gourmet items, it's all right there. And as we say, it's all right there in one store. And it's amazing how many things they pack in there. It's just incredible. BF Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield, and online at bfmazzio.com. And again, you know, we haven't talked about this for a while, but they do deliver. So if you want delivery, hey, that's the way to go. But you like to go in person, as I do that as well. BF Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield, online at bfmazzio.com. Yes, they are your Memorial Day barbecue headquarters, BF Mazzio. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, lexusofatlanticcity.com. That's lexusofatlanticcity.com. Or if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at lexusofatlanticcity.com.
We are back.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. For today, cloudy with a shower, high 67. For tonight, mostly cloudy, low 53. For tomorrow, cloudy in the morning, intervals of clouds and sunshine in the afternoon with a high of 69. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 50. On Monday, mostly sunny and delightful with a high of 71. Monday night, mainly clear, low 48. I'm AccuWeather's Caitlin Lawrence on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Oh, now it's my turn. Okay. Oh, I stepped on the weather because I'm going to be away next week, so I don't care what the weather is here. You know, what can I tell you? Oh, if you want to email me during the week, jdadv1 at comcast.net. That's jdadv1 at comcast.net. Email me anything you like, program suggestions, pro or con, whatever you want. We take them all on. jdadv1 at comcast.net. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Craig is in Northfield. Craig, good morning. Welcome.
Well, good morning, John. How are you?
Good. How about you?
Well, I got a little chuckle there where you tried to interrupt that weather girl.
Yeah, who needs the weather anyway, right? It's been lousy for 2 weeks.
With all this global warming here, and you're complaining. Listen, this is what Americans do. If it's cold, they're complaining about it's cold, but you're not saying that the global warming cooled off.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Right.
Normally it's what? 80, 78, right?
Yeah, it is. It's around this time, yeah.
Anyway, to the caller before Bob. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about racial discrimination, and you talked about the congressional seats down there in Louisiana, how that was stretched all the way down there. You know who came to my mind?
Who?
Maxine Waters.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't even live in her district. So if you think that alone, okay, isn't, disgusting to myself, that here she's representing a district that she doesn't live in. And then you look at all the money that she made. I mean, here's a girl that came up from, when she entered Congress, had zero.
She was poor, yeah.
And
she was
everybody around her, including her nephew, in my opinion, got rich.
Yeah.
Like Nancy Pelosi.
Yes.
Okay? And, so please stop.
Race doesn't matter there.
No, it was everything there.
Yeah.
So, let's just be fair with everybody. You can't have reverse discrimination either. And I don't believe in discrimination as well. So you can't have it either side.
Yes.
Because that's what makes this country, boil.
Yes.
Okay. So, and also I just want to say that when we almost have 14 million people coming over here and they're allowed to vote on our school boards, like Seth said, and because they're making money and they're paying taxes, BS. Okay? That's federal money. That's everybody's money in this country that's spent. Our taxes. Not their taxes, our taxes. We're spending the taxes. We're paying property tax. Those people get subsidized housing. They're usually not paying property tax like we are for these schools.
That's right.
Okay, so when you're taking my tax and then you're dumping it over there and then you're coming into a passing grade is 50, okay, then you're really not doing your job for all the money that we're giving you, and we're fed up with it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Our kids are suffering, and we're doing with less to help you, but you're not helping yourself either by coming out with a 50. Raise the bar. You're really hurting the kids by doing that. Okay, so we're going to get to Donnie because I know Seth's going to be on next week, so I'll give him a couple tidbits.
Okay.
Biden got $24 million, according to Congress, what they've investigated from China and other countries. And during the debate, remember the debate where allegedly Trump lost with Biden, Trump said that Biden had stole that money. Now it seems to be true.
Yeah.
Also, Trump said that there were therapeutics that were more helpful than the vaccine. What do you think of that one, John?
Yeah.
What do you think, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so in other words, you're saying you agree with the therapeutic side more than the vaccine side because you're seeing all the detriment that happen. Athletes drop it, right?
Yes.
Okay, we see newscasters drop right on the newscast, right?
Yes.
And then you brought up the economy. Okay?
Yes.
And so let's talk about the 7% interest that we discussed last week. But you know what I hear in my business? Okay? And I talk to everybody, we talk about food.
Yes.
Because everybody loves food.
Right.
And I can tell you right now, middle-class America is heart-wrenched when they go to the grocery store.
That's right.
Okay? When they're trying to load up, they say you get a couple things. You can't walk out of the grocery store with just a couple things, not the week.
Yeah.
But just like a little side pickup,
yeah.
$100.
That's right. No, that's right.
Okay? So, listen, people, they got kids that are in high school. I don't know about anybody else out there, but a gallon of milk is for one child.
Yeah.
When they're in high school. Am I right?
That's right.
Chug-a-lug, okay?
That's right.
Eggs, all that, and they're expensive. So I want to talk about the debates that, Donnie Trump agreed to. Did you hear about that?
Yes. In fact, that's my next story, June 27th and September 10th.
Okay. So let's talk about how Joe Biden wanted to set up the debates. No Trump fans can be in the room. Did you hear that?
Yes, I heard that.
Okay. Is that disgusting?
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to turn off Donnie Trump's microphone.
Oh, my God. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that.
When he replies. And, hold on, the best one, Biden gets to pick all the questions.
Oh, I didn't hear that either.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, so let's talk about, the debates a little bit further. Okay, because, I came on this show and I said to you, be careful because I think Michelle Obama is going to be the nominee.
Well, I don't know.
Now, did you ever see? Now, who pushed for the debates? Wasn't Joe Biden that pushed for the debate? It was the Democratic Party.
Yes.
They're doing a test for Joe. If he fails miserably, he'll be gone.
Well,
you understand? If he fails miserably in this first debate, you're going to see them running to take him out because they have till August.
By the way, did you notice that the two networks that are carrying it, CNN and ABC, Fox didn't get a shot?
Well, no, Fox is getting a shot. They got a third one with Fox.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so breaking news.
Okay, good. Okay. Oh, you broke it.
Okay, so also, tapes of Biden. I wanted to talk about that with, Mr. Kerr. I think he was the person that interviewed him and how disgusted he looked with all that. Biden's using executive order, so the Congress can't get the interview with that.
Oh,
are you aware of that?
Yeah, no, I'm not aware of that. No.
Okay, remember Navarro when he said he had executive privilege with Donald Trump?
Yes.
Where's he at?
Yeah.
Shackles, right?
Yeah, yes.
Is he where is he currently right now?
I don't know. You name the prison.
Oh, there you go. He is in prison.
Yeah.
Okay, they put a man in prison for doing the same thing that Biden. Rules for thee, but not for me.
Yep. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what we see a lot of that. I'm going to go. I just wanted to bring up those couple little things, and you notice that 22% of black males, okay,
yes,
are for Donald Trump.
That's very.
You know why?
That's very significant. Very significant.
Yes.
But
do you know why?
No.
Because they are disgusted, okay, with our government telling them that they shouldn't be the head of the household. Do you understand?
Oh, jeez.
So look at what the government wants to do. They want to make... See, when you subsidize women, and women are financially well off and they don't need the man in the house, and that's what's happening, and it doesn't matter whether it's black or white, okay, that demoralizes the man.
Yes.
Okay?
That's right.
And his role as the father.
Yes.
And you know what? When father's in the house, usually a kid doesn't go to jail.
Yes, that's right.
That's true.
That's right.
There's a little bit more obedience.
That's right.
And I'll leave you with that, John.
Okay,
Nice show.
Craig, thank you. Thanks for the call, Craig. 609-407-1450, debating whether to take Andy and John after 10 o'clock. What do you think, Chris? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we'll start with Andy, and then maybe we'll give him a part two at 10 o'clock. Andy and Brigantine. Andy, good morning.
Good morning, John. It's a great day in the city of Brigantine.
Yes, it is.
So I want to go back to your first caller.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to trash the man. He's entitled to his opinion. But unfortunately, there are some people who, as soon as anyone even begins to discuss the topic of race,
yes,
the person listening to that discussion labels that person a racist.
There you go. There you go. So it happens all the time.
While Seth was talking about race, he did not say anything racist.
That's right. Oh, I said the same thing.
If you want to try to point the finger at Seth as a racist, he's citing statistics, and you could cite the FBI's own statistics. Well, the FBI, it's Joe Biden's FBI, so then Joe Biden must be the racist. The statistics are what they are. Now, in New York City, for example, blacks make up 22% of the population, yet shootings, 70% of the shootings in New York City are done by blacks, even though they are only 22% of the population.
Wow!
Now, if you add in just a general people of color, so that would encompass people from other parts of the world, people of color. Okay, it's virtually 100% of the shootings. Okay, so and think about this: blacks are 22% of New York City's population overall. But so that includes women, it includes children, it includes elderly. So it isn't really 22% that are doing the shootings. It's really like 6, because it's basically 6% of the population are young black men, And that's really who are doing these things, okay? And the reason they are doing these things, as your last caller alluded to, there are no fathers in the homes.
Right.
And that's because back in the 1960s, the government started paying women to marry the government instead of marrying the fathers of their children.
That's right.
And every time they had a child without a father, they got another check or a bigger check. So here we are 60-some years later, and you have women with multiple children who do not know who any of the fathers are, and they'll go on Maury Povich and celebrate the fact that they have 6 kids and they don't know who any of the fathers are. Now imagine you're a young black man, you're growing up, you have no idea who your father is. There's no man in the house to teach you how to be a man. There's no man in the house to put his foot up your ass when you get out of line. And so you wind up hanging out with your friends. You're getting in trouble with the cops.
Yeah.
You're getting into drugs. You're 13 years old, and you're running around at 3 a.m. with a gun in the middle of the night. This is why these things happen. But it goes back to what I've said so many times. The Democrats cannot promise to make the lives of black people better unless they first make the lives of black people suck.
Yes.
Otherwise, you lose the bargaining chip.
That's
right.
right.
You want to carry me over, John. Go ahead.
Okay, I will do that. Yeah, Andy, we'll put you on hold, and we'll pick it up. It's Andy Part 2 coming up. Hour number 1 is in the books already. Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hour number 2 is on the way. Don't go away, please.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
0.5.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 2, Talk with a Purpose, every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5, also heard on 1450 AM. We'll pick up on the calls in just a moment. We'll get back to Andy and then John and then maybe you. It's 609-407-1450. 11 o'clock this morning, we will have a couple of veterans here on the program. They are Mike Bongiorno. He is a U.S. Army infantry veteran. And we also will have Marco Polo Smigliani. Do we say Marco?
German?
Do we say Marco Polo? He is a merchant Marine. He is a U.S. Marine Vietnam veteran. He's a 4-time Purple Heart recipient. And both of those gentlemen will be on here talking about the Bernie Friedenberg War Memorial, World War II Memorial, which will be unveiled on June the 6th. That's a Thursday. And it will be at O'Donnell Memorial Park in Atlantic City, and we'll talk extensively about that. And we welcome them, and we thank them for their service. We will get back to the phones in just a moment, but I wanted to mention, Craig said something about a Fox debate. I don't have that here. I have 2 debates between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. The first one scheduled for June 27th on CNN, of all the places, and September 10th will be telecast on ABC. I don't have this Fox in the mix, which maybe they have announced, but I don't have it. So 2 debates. I definitely think that Trump has the advantage because I just can't see Biden, and even though Craig said all of those rules that Biden has set, I just don't see him showing up as competent. That's my opinion. I just think it's a slam dunk for Trump here on this front. We'll see. Let's get back to the phones. Andy and Brigantine, back to you. Andy, where did you pick up?
Yes, sir, John. I'll get to Trump and the debates and all that in a moment. I want to finish up the topic I was on. So, in the black community, there are problems that have existed that didn't exist prior to when the Democrats, quote, stepped in to help the black community with the Great Society programs. For instance, prior to the Great Society programs, 75% of black children were born into a two-parent household. And after the Democrats, quote, stepped in to help, after all these years now, you have 75% of black children born into a single-parent household. And a person living in a single-parent household, that is the single greatest predictor of whether you are going to grow up in poverty. And poverty leads to all these other problems, okay? And the fact that, if for so many people, for so many blacks who live in these communities, if these communities were thriving, okay, then many of those blacks would not feel so compelled all these years to vote for the Democrats, who have continued to make this empty promise of improving these cities and making their lives better. So the only way the Democrats can continue to dangle this carrot for 60 years, that if you vote for me, I'll make your city and your life better, the only way they can continue to dangle that carrot is if they maintain the status quo and make sure these cities continue to crumble. You follow me?
Yes.
So it is the very fact that many blacks, especially in the inner cities, live in these conditions is the very reason they're voting for the Democrats in the first place. So the Democrats have a vested interest in continuing to leave these cities the way they are, because it's working for them. It's the one thing that's right, getting the blacks to vote.
That's right.
Okay, for them. So, just another statistic that a white police officer is a white police officer is 18 times more likely to be shot by a black perp than vice versa. Okay? There are millions of police interactions with the public every year. Millions. And 99.9% of them are uneventful. What does that mean? It means in 99.9% of the time, when a police officer interacts with a member of the public, his weapon is not drawn, there's no violence, there's no anger, there's no nothing other than good morning, sir, and hand a ticket over, whatever, have a good day, sir. That's it, in 99.9% of the time. And the reason the media sees upon a George Floyd incident is because it is so rare. It's the same reason that the media do not cover safe plane takeoffs and landings, because they happen millions of times a day. Planes take off and they land safely. There's no reason to cover it.
Right,
okay?
right.
All right, so off this topic. Now, Bob from Cape May said something interesting, something I've been saying too. There's an eerie confidence with Joe Biden. He acts like a man. He completely dismisses all the polls and acts so confident that he's going to win. He acts with the confidence of a man who knows he's going to win because he knows that the systems are in place for them to cheat, just like they did the last time. So he doesn't have to worry about the polls. He believes he's going to win because he knows the apparatus, the apparata, are in place for them to cheat. And in all, to dovetail over what Bob said, in all 50 states now, illegals can get driver's licenses.
Jeez.
And once they get driver's licenses, they have the motor voter laws.
Yep.
They're registered to vote.
Jeez.
Now, the only thing that's going to prevent this is what Bob was talking about. If it was at Mike Lee, I believe, that if they can get this passed, that you have to show proof of citizenship. John, how many times in recent years have we heard Democrats bitching and complaining about foreign interference in our elections?
Yeah, we sure have.
But yet you're going to let people from other countries who are not citizens vote. That is the definition of foreign interference.
That's right.
In our elections.
But they're voting Democrats, so that's why they don't really say anything.
Yep. So have a nice day.
You too, Andy.
Talk to you next week.
Thank you. Thanks for the call. John in OC. John, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Yes, good morning. Well, what is using taxpayer monies to bring people in from foreign countries without the proper vetting of legal citizenship called? It's called taxation without representation. Now, that being taking money from this populace, not for the benefit of the populace. And that's what revolution, that's what was one of the main causes of our revolution. So according to our founding fathers, not these bozos in office now, that's called for revolution. So, yeah, we have every right to speak up, to use our First Amendment right to speak up. But the tree that's bearing poisonous fruit now it was planted a long time ago. If you have Emanuel Mann Josephson's critique of Clinton and Roosevelt, he called it Roosevelt's Communist Manifesto, and that was that Clinton and Roosevelt had written a book called The Science of Government Founded on Natural Law. And had he wanted to, that was written in 1841, had he wanted to, he could have sued Karl Marx for plagiarism when he came out with his Communist Manifesto in 1848. Now, he was a German. Karl Marx is a German, but Clinton Roosevelt was an American, and he hated the Constitution. So this goes back a long, long time ago. There's nothing new under the sun. What we're dealing with now was planned a long time ago. Conspirare, when two or more people plan or plot from behind the scenes. Conspiracies are real. Conspiracies aren't theories. A conspiracy theorist is a person that's on the outside looking on the inside trying to figure out what happened. That's all that is. So conspiracies are actually real. And there's two other documents besides those two commie documents that actually we could actually abide by that would solve our problems. One is our beloved Constitution. And according to Lakota Oglala Sioux Native American Indian Russell Means, he loved that Constitution, and he was no Uncle Tom either. He was the co-founder with Leonard Peltier of the American Indian movement, a very radical movement. So he was no Uncle Tom. He loved the Constitution because it's based on Native American Indian law, and its sister document is the Guyanaskua, the Great Law of Peace. That was conceived by the brilliant Daganawida of Onondaga father, had an Onondaga father and a Huron mother. Huron is not Iroquois. But anyway, he was a brilliant man. He was a man of color. As far as I'm concerned, he made the biggest footprint in North America, as far as I'm concerned, and not a black man or a white man. But that Constitution can solve a lot of our problems. And there is a spiritual dimension to everything. And the one book of Luke that wrote, the one part of the book of Luke that scares me is 19 through 30. It's Luke 16, 19 through 31. And the rich man went to hell, well-fed and well-dressed, and the poor man, Lazarus, who had pus exude coming out of the sores of his legs, and the stray dogs were licking the pus off his legs. The stray dogs were showing more compassion to poor Lazarus than the rich man. He was in paradise when he went on to the other side, and the man that was rich and well-fed went to hell. So there is an eternal gulf that's fixed between those that are going to hell and those that are not. You're going to spend eternity in one of two places. So even if we have a Reagan-esque Trumpian renaissance for the next 12 years, if I pass on, I want to be on the right side of that eternal gulf mentioned by Father Abraham. So we need to take our Bibles out and dust them off and start reading them. And also, we have a beloved Constitution. It's a cistern of crystal clear drinking water that we can all drink from. And if freaking communist socialist a-holes want to turn it into a cesspool. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Thanks for the call. Boy, he was wound up today. We're going to get to Bob in Cape May after the break. So, Bob, just hang on. I wanted to talk about this. And this is kind of off the beaten path from what we normally talk about here on the show. I don't know if you took notice of this, but during the week, Dr. Cyril Wecht passed away, and he was 93. He lived a long and successful life, and you're saying probably, if you don't know who he is, you're probably saying, who is Cyril Wecht? For those who don't know, Cyril Wecht was a pathologist and an attorney, kind of a cynical guy, and it led him to a controversial position on a number of issues, including the death of JFK in 1963. And this is where he kind of became famous. Dr. Wecht, he was on several talk shows, and I remember seeing him when I was a kid. And I never believed that there was a lone shooter, but Dr. Wecht began his rise to almost fame, or fame, if you will, in 1964. He was serving at the time as an assistant DA in Allegheny County, which is in the Pittsburgh area. And then he was a pathologist at a Pittsburgh hospital. So the request came from a group of forensic scientists reviewing the Warren Commission's report, and that concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in assassinating President Kennedy. After reviewing the autopsy, Wecht concluded that the commission's findings that a single bullet killed President Kennedy and wounded Governor John Connally, he called it absolute nonsense. You imagine? He spent much of the rest of his life trying to prove his theory was right. In fact, if you saw the Oliver Stone movie JFK, Dr. Wecht's theory made it into the movie, to which I bring the question up today to you, and we can talk about this. Do you believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in the assassination of JFK? Or do you believe there were other shooters involved? And I can tell you, many years ago, I'm going to say maybe 30 years ago, I visited Dallas, and a friend of mine said, make sure you visit the School Book Depository in Dallas, because they made it into a museum and an exhibit for where JFK was shot. Just take that tour. And I took the tour. And they took you on the ground to the grassy knoll where supposedly other shooters were. And you can see very clearly that those shooters were probably shooting from there in addition to someone else. And it was like shooting ducks in a pond. I mean, they had a clear shot. Clear. I mean, there wasn't any obstruction at all. And security then was lax. So what do you think? Did Lee Harvey Oswald act alone? Or was it a conspiracy? Were there several other shooters? 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio. Again, we'll talk to Bob and Kate May after the break, and maybe we'll talk to you at 609-407-1450. I'm John DeMasi. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We'll get back to more of the show in just a moment, but first, we want to talk about more of the good stuff, and that is Lexus. Courtesy of Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road at EHT. You know, all of the surveys that I've read, and I mean, I go back many years reading surveys, and who says what car is the best, and these are independent surveys. They all say Lexus. They're like in the top three. Because, very simple, it is a great car. I mean, would I lie to you? I mean, all I've driven is Lexus since 2007. And before that, I never repeated a car. I mean, it's always a different, this, that, whatever. But no, it's always Lexus because they are the best on the road, in my opinion. And you will drive it and you'll feel the same way. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT, and online at aclexus.com. That's aclexus.com. You look at all of the cars on the website, and in particular, pay attention to the L certified. That's the pre-owned, and that's Lexus' way of saying, hey, these are the best pre-owned vehicles that we have on our lot. And really, you can't go wrong with an L certified. Maybe it's 2-3 years old, low mileage. Believe me, I now have about 95,000 miles on my car. And guess what? It runs like it did before when it was 10,000 miles. You just can't beat those cars up. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT. Stop by today. It's kind of a nice day for a change. You stop by and test drive a vehicle, and you'll see for yourself what I'm talking about. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
I'm Seth Grossman for LibertyandProsperity.com. Last month, American Thinker published an article I wrote about the war in the Middle East. I call it 13 key facts about Israel that are known by very few Americans. I invite you to Google it or look it up at LibertyandProsperity.com. One is that Palestine was never an Arab nation. It was the name that a Roman emperor gave to Israel after he crushed a Jewish rebellion there. Another is that most of Israel or Palestine was mostly empty malaria swamp and desert until about 100 years ago. Most Arabs did not move there until after Jews drained the swamps, watered the deserts, and planted trees and crops. Learn more about these and other important facts about Jews, Christians, and Arabs in and around Israel. Visit LibertyandProsperity.com. Help us reach more people. Join our weekly breakfast. Donate what you can to keep us on the air and online. LibertyandProsperity.com.
We are back here on Talk with a Purpose. If you want to listen to any of our shows at any time, it's called the podcast. And what you do is you Google John DeMasi Podcasts, and all of the shows come up, and you can listen to any of them at any time, anywhere. Just do as you see fit. Listen, carry it with you when you go to the beach, whatever. But John DeMasi Podcast is what you Google, and all the shows come up. There's over 200 shows, and you can pick and choose as you see fit. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Bob is back in Cape May. Bob, welcome back.
Hi, John. Hey, look, I want to get to Trump and the debate, but just Cyril Wecht was a brilliant guy. And look, all probability is that the Kennedy assassination, again, there is no smoking gun evidence. They were able to conceal that, but I firmly believe, there was more than one shooter involved.
Has to be.
Yeah.
I mean,
I went to Dealey Plaza too, John, and you're right. There's, but
was that an open shot or what? Did you see that? I mean, I couldn't be more clear that if the shooter was behind that grassy knoll, he had a clear shot. I mean, clear.
Yeah, exactly, John. Roger Stone wrote a book a few years ago, and it pointed the finger at the chief finger in terms of the responsibility. The chief culprit was Lyndon Johnson. Johnson.
Oh yeah.
He was the most vile individual, probably even worse than Biden, to hold office. Lyndon Johnson. I just want to tell you about Lyndon Johnson. So he had his sister's fiance killed in the late 1940s. His sister was mentally deranged. They didn't want her getting married. So Johnson had the fiance killed. Johnson, he employed a hitman named Mac Wallace. Now, Mac Wallace was convicted of that murder in the late 1940s, and his sentence, after being convicted for first-degree murder, you know what his sentence was?
What?
A suspended sentence.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. So this Mac Wallace, he was in Dallas the day Kennedy got killed. Roger Stone established that. Couple other things. It's just interesting here. There's more evidence. I don't want to be too long here. Jack Ruby, right, the guy that killed Oswald. So Roger Stone was very close to Richard Nixon, very close. And when Richard Nixon later in life, Stone and he were together at Nixon's house. Nixon was drinking a little bit. Okay, when Nixon drank a little, he opened up.
Yeah,
I really want to talk about this, but Nixon told Roger Stone, he said, when I saw Ruby, I saw on TV when Ruby killed Oswald, and Nixon said, when I saw Ruby, I said, I know this guy. I know who this guy is. So in the late 1940s, when Nixon and Johnson were both in Congress, Johnson asked Richard Nixon to get a job for Jack Ruby.
How about that?
Think about that, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, look, just the point about the debates, I think Trump made a big mistake by agreeing to all of Biden's ground rules. All of Biden's ground rules were agreed to. And look, no doubt, in a fair debate, Trump would clean Biden's clock.
Oh, absolutely.
However, John, when you're involved in any kind of competitive event, and the people that make up the ground rules before you play, and the referees are dead against you, you could be a much better competitor, but you probably won't win. So they're going to pump Biden up with some kind of
like they did on the State of the Union.
Yeah, and pump him up, and then he's going to have the questions in advance from Dana Bash and Jake Tapper, who look at. I mean, they have called Trump every name in the book.
That's right.
Another Hitler. You think they're really going to be objective with Trump and give him a fair shot?
Well, I
think Trump made a big mistake.
I don't think it matters, though, Bob, because I think Trump is strong enough as a debater, as an orator, that he will overcome whatever rules they have, because there's ways that he can get around that. Like they're turning his mic off.
John?
Yeah, when Biden's but so what? So his mic's going to be on at some point, so he can spout off then. I don't see any disadvantage. They can stack up all the rules they want for Biden, and I don't see any advantage. But that's my opinion.
But look, Trump is right now. If we believe the polls, now again, I don't know. But Trump's in a pretty strong position right now. Well, why didn't they use some leverage, at least to get a third debate with more objective moderators? Now, Brett Baer at Fox, he's no friend of Trump. Okay, I don't think he might be a little better than Chris Wallace was, but Chris Wallace, the Fox debate in 2020 was the worst one for Trump. It was, because Chris Wallace was horrible. I mean, horrible.
Yeah.
Right. Trump brought up the fact of Hunter Biden. He brought up the reality of Biden taking all that money from China, and Wallace totally fought Trump on that. Totally fought him. Wouldn't let him bring it up. So. Anyway, let's see. It'll be interesting.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Bob, thanks for the call. Thanks for the second call. John in OC. John, welcome back.
Yes, good morning. No, I don't believe Lee Harvey Oswald had anything to do with the assassination. A 6.5 millimeter bullet issued from a Carcano-Mannlicher 9138 bolt-action rifle does not make a hole the size of a necklet medallion in the back of John Kennedy's head.
That's right.
It was 5 inches in diameter. Yes, and also the hole that was huge on the right side of his right head there. That was, I believe, issued from a exploding pellet. Now, in 1975, at the church committee, such a pistol was presented. Electric charged, gas powered, so it left no gunshot residue, and it issued out an exploding pellet. And if you see President Kennedy's head being pushed back by the shot, you see the whole front of his head explode.
That's right.
It's an exploding pellet that did that, yes. And also, I believe the shot from the grassy knoll, which is a throat shot, that was fired by they call him Badge Man, because there's a misty photo that shows a silhouette of a cop and his sun is reflecting off of his badge. Hence, he's called Badge Man. I believe that was Lucien Sarti. Now, Lucien Sarti was not a Sicilian mafioso. He was actually from French Corsica. He was a Frenchman. He was a part of that international mob. And as far as LBJ was told to keep his mouth shut. You hate John F. Kennedy anyway. Just keep your trap shut. You'll be president. And if you don't keep your mouth shut, what happened to him will happen to you. Because 250 witnesses on the grassy area of the Dealey Plaza field died mysterious deaths. So there's no way. That's beyond LBJ. And they did find Mac Wallace's fingerprints on a Carcano miniature rifle in the 5th floor of the book depository. But they're all just. I can't. I'm trying to think. The only thing I can think of are red herrings to keep people off balance, keep people focused off what really happened. In 1967, they came up with a conspiracy theory because a lot of people were doubting what really happened there. And now I think that Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy, and I also believe that Sirhan was out of his mind at the time of Bobby Kennedy's shooting.
Oh yeah.
And that was several shots came from several different directions. So yeah, it was actually William Melton Cooper, Bill Cooper, a high-level Naval Briefing Intelligence officer, who had said that the first Bilderberg meeting, which was at the Bilderberg Hotel, but it's in different places around the world, I understand that. But first, it was in 1954, and it said, the document that he read, that he perused, said, the Third World War has begun. War has been declared on the citizens of the United States of America. The Illuminati, he said, the Illuminati has declared war on the citizens of the United States of America. So, yeah, we've had war declared. It's a quiet weapons for silent, or silent weapons for quiet wars. We've had war declared on it, so we don't even know it. Thanks for letting me call in.
All right, John, thanks. Plus the fact, what John didn't mention there, Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't even like a sharpshooter. When he was briefly in the Army, and he was dishonorably discharged, I believe, he wasn't even a good shooter. And, you know, when you're on that 6th floor, and I visited that, and I said to myself, how could this guy kill the president from this high up? I mean, it was far. And maybe a sharpshooter could hit the president, but not Lee Harvey Oswald. So I never believed that it was only one gunman. And the magic bullet theory? Oh, Dan is in Linwood. Dan, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
It was a real magic bullet, but they went too far.
Yes.
They found it on the stretcher, which is a zillion to one, and it had no damage on it. So they were trying to plant something, but they planted the wrong thing. They should have planted a damage bullet.
Boy, they really tried to pull one over on us, didn't they?
Yeah, well, I had a couple of friends, pretty shady dudes in the government, and one guy told me, he says, look, he says, you know, they have all these theories. He says, here's what happened. I mean, he was like, I don't know if he had an extra 4 or 5 tequilas in him or whatever it was. He said, remember when the car slowed down?
Yeah.
The limo?
Yeah.
He said that's when it really happened, because they hit him. The other shots were just panic shots. And when they slowed the car down, the guy was in the storm drain. The little Cuban guy.
Yes.
And he shot him from basically closest range possible. He had, if you could visualize a storm drain and the limo, and that was the best shot, and it was like a guaranteed kill shot at that point.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
More so than what you saw, right? Because you saw the distance.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't take a chance with a distance shooter. Oswald was a Marine. he was he was a fairly good shot, but he wasn't that kind of shot.
No, not at all. I mean, when you saw the grass, or when you saw the sixth floor and where he was, I mean, I thought it was impossible.
Unless he was,
moving
target, by the way.
Unless is a major sharpshooter, and how many of those guys are around? There are some, but it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald, that's for sure.
Yeah, my cousin was one of the top guys. He was on the point in Vietnam. He got all shot up, and he spent 16 months in Valley Forge. And he says maybe 5 guys in the world make that shot.
Yes.
And the thing about the debate, your caller said it. You breezed by it, but I want to get back to it. This is very important. Trump definitely has to rethink this and say, I will debate as many times as you want, but the first debate must occur after the Democratic National Convention, because this is exactly what your caller said. It's all over the news. This is a test, and if Biden fails the test, he will be replaced.
Yeah, well, it's a theory, and it's certainly, I think it's a plausible theory, but I don't know.
Why the rush, John? Why the rush? Why all of a sudden, Biden, who hides in the woods, why the rush to make this move?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And why the rush to keep, or the insistence on keeping Kennedy out of the debate?
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah. Well,
and the audience, are you kidding? The flavor, the country should demand. Look, you got to make it a traditional debate, and what you do is you get a bipartisan panel. You don't have a Christian Welker or the guy from NBC, Lester Holt, Jake Tapper. You don't have these kind of people. They could be on the panel, but you have to throw in Brett Baer or somebody like that.
Yeah.
He's not a real conservative too. He's a rhino. But you got to throw in one of those people from Fox, maybe somebody from Newsmax. Otherwise, what they're going to do is what Chris Wallace did.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And how about Candy Crowley for Obama? She spoke for about maybe 2.5 minutes debating Mitt Romney. It was a classic 2-on-1. It was like one of those WWF handicap matches.
Yeah. Well,
and she outweighed everybody, so it wasn't. It wasn't fair. But she's and everything she said was wrong. But guess what? You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
That's right. Well, we'll see, Dan. Thanks for the call. Yeah, that's a theory that they may replace Biden. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, why the rush? That's a good question. I don't think it matters because I think Trump is strong enough that no matter what they throw at him, whatever rules or whatever, when his mic is open, his mic is open. So what are they going to say? Don't say that? I just don't. I don't think it matters. But that's my opinion. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Linda's on the line, and Tony. We'll talk to them after the break, and maybe we'll talk to you as well. 609-407-1450. We're coming back. More Talk with a Purpose after these words.
The finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere? Check. Award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets? Check. Baked goods and prepared foods? Check. They check all the boxes. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And that's not all. Gourmet items, specialty foods, and catering for all occasions. It's all right there. Check them out online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. Cloudy skies this afternoon with a shower. We'll see an afternoon high of 67. Mostly cloudy skies for tonight with a low of 53. Cloudy tomorrow morning, then intervals of clouds and sun for the afternoon. Tomorrow we'll see a high of 69. Mostly sunny Monday, a delightful start to the week. We'll reach a high Monday of 71. I'm AccuWeather's Drew Shannon on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose. If you miss any of today's show, we have our Talk with a Purpose replay. In fact, it's back-to-back on Sunday. Harry, 3 to 5, best of, and then yours truly, 5 to 7. So you got 4 good hours of listening on a Sunday right here, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We will talk to Linda in Absecon. Linda, good morning. Welcome.
Boy, I have a lot to say.
Okay.
And we need another hour.
Yeah, that's true.
So, excuse me, good show. And
thank you.
Bob Progner, he says it right. You know, it's the way things are. It's eerie with this election.
Yeah.
Because if all else fails, you feel like, because no one's getting any laws in place. None of that is happening.
No.
The laws that needed to be in place, the laws that were bad before, unless they've all been changed and made right again, I'm not aware of it. But I don't see anything happening legally where the laws are going to really secure this for President Trump. And it's eerie. They're too quiet. So who's going to be the one who assassinates him? They will. I can't, because I don't see them letting him live to be president.
Really?
And they're too quiet.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
there's a theory. They are kind of quiet, and a few callers have said they're kind of eerily confident. They're like eerily confident is the word I would use. And yeah, they're too calm. Like they're not panicking. Like, hey, we're behind in the polls, and every poll is showing we're behind, and they're not really, they're not really pushing. So it's like they know something. I don't know.
And Bob mentioned the Roger Stone book with the assassination of President Kennedy.
Yes,
that was a fascinating book. In fact, it was a great book, depending on how accurate it is. And I don't know if it is or it isn't, but it was shocking to me. Do you know at one time, George Bush's father, Bush Sr., he went to LBJ, and he wanted to be in government, and so he said he didn't know whether to be a senator or to be a congressman. So LBJ told him, he said, well, to be a senator, one is like how did he say it? He said, well, to be a senator is like chicken salad. To be a congressman is more like chicken, S-H-I-T. And boy, he was really something.
He was.
I went to his birthday party.
Who's?
When he was here in Atlantic City.
LBJ?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And the MC was oh my God, Danny Thomas.
Oh, how about that?
And it looked like he had thrown back a few drinks or something because she was. And the reason I went is my girlfriend's father had some security patrol, around, and so we had the necessary credentials. And it was interesting. Nonetheless, it was very interesting. And in your first caller, I have to say, I don't quite agree with Seth. The way he talks about the black situation in Atlantic City, it may be better than it was in most places. But let's just keep in mind that we're talking about a time just coming out of some wars,
Yes.
that were what? They were segregated.
Yes.
Segregated.
Yes.
And I never knew that until I retired. I was a branch administrator. I worked for a long time. Then I retired, and then I got tired of being retired, and then I went and worked for somebody. And I met a gentleman, black gentleman, and he was telling me, we were talking about the Lord, because I'd always talk about the Lord. And so he said, oh, I don't know if the Lord will forgive me, something like that. I said, of course he'll forgive you. He said, I don't know. He said, because if he had it to do all over again, he would have done what Cassius Clay did. He wouldn't have gone into the service. And then he told me what it was like being in the service, how you had to sit in the back. You couldn't even eat with the white people.
Jeez.
And even the people in France knew that the black platoon during World War II was the one that delivered France. And it was so fascinating, that story. I came home, I was almost in tears. I didn't know that the war was segregated.
Yeah.
I thought, how can that have happened? And then, now I'm going to take you back to when I was a sophomore in high school. I was in art class. And there was this really nice black guy and a white guy. And so the white guy started probably, saying some things. And the black guy turned around and said, "Hey, Lincoln freed the slaves." And the white guy turns around and says, "Yeah, and the South got him back." And so that's what that was like.
Yeah, well.
And so, and I can remember one time, too, and this really hurts to say, because, my sister and brother-in-law had just gotten married, and relatives had stopped at the house, but they were living with my mom until they got into their place. And I had probably forgotten a lot of the way I am from my older sister. So anyway, there were these two kids. The one visitor in the house used the word N-word. Now, this is going back to the 50s, and my sister said, "We don't use that word in this house." God bless her, she had courage.
Yes, she did.
And then my sister would come up during the week, and she would hang her clothes. This is when you hung your clothes outside.
Oh, I remember that, too. My mother did the same thing.
Didn't they smell good?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Two little children walking down the alley. We had alleys back then. And so the one little boy turned around and said to the other little boy or girl, "Gee, I wish I were white." And my sister June came in the house, and she was visibly upset. That broke her heart for somebody to not like their identity.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Thanks for the call, Linda. It was the thing back in the 50s, but fortunately, a lot of that is gone. Still, we got some ways to go, but we've come a long way. Tony in AC. Tony, good morning. You're on Talk with a Purpose.
Hi, I'm driving. I got a little distracted. I got players going to Atlantic City, and they just wanted to get off for a bathroom break. But that was a little left turn you were talking about. Can I quickly handicap the debate the way I see it?
Yes.
Thank you. I saw a clip of Biden in the last debate calling Trump a clown, and then at one point, or even before he called him a clown, he told him to shut up while they were debating. And then the camera went to Donald's face, and Donald had a look of disbelief. Did he never say that? Have you seen that clip?
Yes, I see it. I've seen it. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I would like to think that Trump's people will be playing that and get them to the point where, like with the Candy Crowley, when the narrators start debating Trump, and it becomes a 2 or 3 on 1.
Yes.
That the Donald, will say to Biden, "Listen, Joe, I'm debating the people who are asking questions and you, but I remember you wanted to take me behind the woodshed."
Yeah, in other words,
never happened.
Yeah, in other words,
Joe, we don't have to go behind the woodshed. There's nobody here. You and me, a couple of partisan narrators. Why don't you live up to your threat?
Yeah, Tony. Thanks for the call. We've got to cut you a little short because that signal was terrible. Oh. Carl in Woodbine. Carl, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. I enjoy your show very much.
Thank you.
I listen to it every week.
Thank you.
I want to mention 2 things about the assassination. Why is the government withholding information? They were supposed to release it 50 years after the assassination. There's something in there they're hiding, definitely.
Yes, I think so.
No question about it.
I think so, too. I think so.
And then the other thing I wanted to say is when Ruby shot Oswald, that was a setup.
Oh, no question.
To eliminate Oswald, they can question him.
Yeah. Did you see where Ruby just kind of it was like a setup because they just let him run right up to Oswald and shoot him. I mean, there was no protection. That wouldn't happen today. I mean, there would be cops all over the place. There was like two guys holding Oswald, and they it looked like, you know, parting of the Red Sea. It was like everything opened up, and Ruby just had a clear shot. It was.
If you think about it, you can't question the guy accused of shooting the president.
Yeah, that's right.
You clear his name, you get rid of the witness. That's it.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Regarding Biden, this proposed debate, Biden's not in shape for that at all.
I don't think so.
He'll be ready to be killed.
No, I don't think so.
I think he's going to resign mysteriously, or won't be. How are you going to debate the girl?
Yeah,
Giggles.
Giggles. That's a good one.
No, that's what she is. She giggles all the time.
Right, that's she does.
Taking her,
Yeah.
Another thing I want to mention real fast. You remember when President Obama took the oath? He took it on the Quran.
Yes.
The Quran is, Muslim.
Yes.
Why did they allow that?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. Because I would assume that Obama, of course, was all inclusive. So I would think that they would be afraid that they would say, "Oh, a racist," and all of that stuff. So I would assume that. But I don't know. I never really thought about that much. But you're right. That's a good question. Why was that allowed?
Well, here's just a few thoughts I had run through my head real fast.
Well, that's good.
That's what I meant to do.
Good. Glad you unloaded your thoughts on us. Thanks for the call, Carl. Frank is in Ventnor. Frank, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Hey, good morning, John. How you doing?
How you doing, Frank? You weren't mentioned today. You weren't mentioned today. Gee.
Yeah, I'm
a little upset at that.
I
huh?
do better.
Yeah, you know, come on.
Well, John, actually, after this call, if we had more time, maybe I would be mentioned. Because I'm going to take this. I'm taking a different take. I believe all evidence shows that Lee Harvey Oswald fired 3 shots. One shot went in. We have the bullet wound in the back of President Kennedy's neck. If you take a direct trajectory from the school book depository through President Kennedy's neck into Connolly's back, hitting, spinning because it started to tumble after it came out of President Kennedy, broke some bones in Governor Connolly, landed in his thigh, and there is a shallow wound in his thigh. That's why it fell out in the stretcher. And some other callers said that there was no damage. There is damage to that bullet. You could see it in the Warren report. There is also, John, a small bullet wound in the back of President Kennedy's head, again in a direct line to the school book depository, and then the large exit wound out of the right front of his brain. So, and the first shot was a miss. Everything we see was a miss. Now, if there were other people shooting, fine. No, where did those bullets go? Where did they hit? All modern science, John, you can see this. Everything leads back to the school book depository. And one of the reasons people said, oh, that bullet couldn't have gone from Kennedy's neck and it went sideways, blah, blah, blah. Actually, Governor Connolly was sitting, his seat was a jump seat. He was sitting lower than President Kennedy and off to the side. So again, it's a direct trajectory, and you can find this. Many. This has been done. The Discovery Channel, Popular Mechanics, they show this over and over again. How this could have happened because everything leads back to the school book depository.
Well, explain this, Frank.
Yeah.
The first shot, Kennedy goes back, so that would seem to me that shot comes from the front. He goes.
Okay, I can explain that, John.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. If you watch the frames just before President Kennedy's head explodes, if you look back 2 frames, you'll see his head moving forward. So with the entry wound actually pushed his head forward, and you have to go. You look at the frame by frame. There's a Zapruder film. The explosion of his head with that entry wound, with nerves and so forth. That's what tossed his head back. But that's and also, John, you'll see the brain matter moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Also, in the windshield had a fragment of bullet embedded on the inside of the windshield. All of this pointing to the bullet being fired from the back. But if you look at that frame by frame, you'll see the brain matter moving forward. And you'll actually see his head move forward for maybe a very fraction of a second before his head explodes and it gets thrown back.
All right, one other thing, and then we got to run. It was supposedly said there were 4 shots fired in 10 seconds, which is impossible because of the rifle that he used. That is a theory that was claimed that it was impossible to shoot 4 shots in 10 seconds. What do you say to that?
There was 3 shots, John.
3 shots?
The first one missed.
Okay.
Yeah, he fired 2 shots. One shot hit President Kennedy and went through his neck and went through Governor Connolly. The second one was the kill shot. The first shot they believe was a miss. But no, they've done the testing. Remember the first shot, the clock doesn't start ticking until after you make that first shot. So you've made, right, he shoots, then he has to make 2 more.
Yes.
So that you don't start counting the clock as to how long it took until after he shoots the first one.
Okay, well, look, thank you for the call and the information, but I got to believe, I still have trouble believing this. I really do. I mean, especially the fact that Oswald was never a sharpshooter, and that kind of a shot would be, it would have to be a major sharpshooter, and I don't think that was Oswald. But anyway, we are coming up on hour number 2 is in the books, hour number 3 on the way, and we are welcoming 2 distinguished veterans to talk about the Bernie Friedenberg World War II Memorial. Why is it happening? Where is it happening? When is it happening? We'll find all of that out with Mike Bongiorno and Marco Polo Smigliani. 2 nice Irish boys. We're coming up. Hour number 2 in the books. Hour number 3 with Marco and Mike on the way. Don't go away.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
5.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 3, Talk with a Purpose, every Saturday 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us. We are very pleased and very proud to do this segment here on the show, and this kind of really came together at 10:30 last night. Talk about last minute, but anyway, we got it together. We are pleased to welcome Mike Bongiorno and Marco Polo Smigliani. I promised I wouldn't say Marco Polo, but I did. I just had to get that out there. Go on. They are here to talk about, and we've heard this before, but now we're going to get the real story on the Bernie Friedenberg World War II Memorial coming up on June the 6th at 12 noon at O'Donnell Memorial Park in Atlantic City. First of all, gentlemen, welcome. Thank you for your service, and we're glad that you're here. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you for having us. My name is Marco Polo Antonio Giovanni Smigliani, so that's why I go by Marco Polo and everything. And I'm a veterans advocate, a Vietnam veteran, and vice chairman of Atlantic County Advisory Board. So thank you for having us. And it was last minute. Mike called me too last night. He says, we got to go on the show. I said, okay, fine. You know?
Yeah.
Whatever we got to do.
Whatever you got to do is right.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Mike. He is a U.S. Army infantry veteran, and he's on the advisory board of this World War II memorial. Mike, where did you serve?
I was my time was in Kosovo.
Thank you. We got it together. Go ahead.
Yeah, there we go. So I was U.S. Army infantry out of Fort Benning, Georgia. My duty station was Friedberg, Germany. And my unit was the first boots on the ground in the Kosovo conflict.
So you served in conflict as well as anybody else. You served in conflict. So
yes.
Thank you, really. Thank you. Because without you guys, especially guys like Bernie Friedenberg, we'd be speaking German right now. So
absolutely. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
First of all, who is Bernie Friedenberg? And why is he getting in the memorial? I mean, what's the significance of this?
Okay, let's start with Bernie Friedenberg was a World War II veteran. He died 2018. We were friends for over 30 years. When I came from Las Vegas about 43 years ago, I joined the Military Order of the Purple Heart, and they're all World War II veterans. And that's how I got to know Bernie and everything. Bernie was a little Jewish guy, weighed about 125 pounds soaking wet. The Army didn't want him, the Marine Corps didn't want him, nobody wanted him. Eventually, they made him a medic in the United States Army, but he had the heart of a lion. He is the recipient of 2 Silver Stars, 2 Purple Hearts, and 2 Bronze Stars. He's a true American hero in every sense of the word. On D-Day, he actually was going through a minefield when he got his first Silver Star, taking American wounded soldiers, and when he got to the 6th one, they blew up. And he got wounded. So, as a combat veteran, I really have the great admiration for him. But more importantly, when he came home, for the next 50, 60 years, he also participated in making America better here as a veteran. So that's how I got to know him, and we became really, really good friends. He was a very, very intelligent man, very caring individual, and he was always trying to make our country better, basically. So, go ahead.
But why? In other words, I'm curious as to how he got this memorial and how did this all come about?
For you,
okay,
I'm going to answer for you, John. Okay, so I got a phone call 5 years ago from his daughter Susan. Says, Marco, somebody wants to do a statue on my father because they have written a small book about Bernie Friedenberg. He says, can you? I says, Susan, I'm up to here with veteran stuff because I always have been. I got 15 things going on. I said, but I got a friend of mine. He just retired from the FBI. If he wants to, if he takes the chair, I'll co-chair. Well, that was 5 years ago, and that's how it all started. And little by little, we started working. And then originally, it was just a simple statue. So I went to see my friend Tom Sykes. And I says, Tom, I says, just a statue looks kind of bare. And I says, you think you could embellish? Yeah, I went a couple of weeks later. He gave me a monument. So we went from 250,000 to 800, 900,000.
Oh, jeez.
So now here it is, 5 years later, over 1,800 days. We raised over $1 million. And Bernie is the face of the statue. He is sitting there, cradle with a wounded soldier on his lap. That's him. But this is for all World War II veterans, and I think it gets lost sometimes because there was 16 million Americans that came home from World War II. That's what's really all about. He just happens to be the face of that.
Okay. Mike, can you chime in on this? I mean, you obviously are younger, so you weren't even a thought in World War II. What do you know about Bernie Friedenberg?
So everything I know about Bernie is things I've known talking to his daughter, talking to Marco and all of his friends and all of the older veterans that are in the area. And he from the stories that you hear, you become ingrained in his life. The advocacy that he's had for the veterans after the war and what he did during his service time. Truly makes him, an American icon and an American hero.
We did a show 2 weeks ago, and this is like, on this show, anything happens. And somebody called and said, World War II, they shouldn't have dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. And we talked the whole show. People were saying, my uncle served, it was like, it was a World War II show. But the thing is, and I'm 74. I wasn't born during World War II. So this monument, are you concerned that people kind of may not relate to it? Or, World War II is so far away now.
80 years.
80 years,
well,
yeah.
D-Day, that's why we have it on June 6th, because it's D-Day. That was the actual, well, the war was even longer, but D-Day is when actually invasion. That's what we're doing on D-Day, which is 80 years. That's from Normandy now. That's the 80 years. This June.
But do you think that people will relate to this, or how will you help this generation or future generations relate to World War II?
Well, I'm going to come from a personal side, which I always do. First of all, I'm an immigrant son. I was born in Italy. So here's my grandfather's ring. It's 125 years old.
He's showing me his ring now.
And this is my father's and my mother's ring, okay? Yes. So my father was fighting against the United States in World War II. But two of my cousins were killed. They were serving from the United States. So it's, World War I, we were together. But this is not about, World War I, World War II. It's a human story. We can't control wars. We can't control the world. So what part did we play in it? Well, I was born 3 years after the war. The war devastated my village. But to go back to what you were talking about, I don't think the majority of the American people, and maybe I shouldn't be saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, do not understand. They're ignorant in the actual facts of World War II and what happened and what transpired and what the American soldiers had to do so we have this liberty, that we have this freedom we have today. It is incredible. If you know anything about the Bataan Death March that happened in Philadelphia, where 10,000 Filipinos, Americans were killed by the Japanese, what happened, with the Jewish people, 6 million. I mean, so, I don't think they have any idea really. They just they might see a picture or something, but I think there's a lot of ignorance there. Yeah. I'll answer if you want after we're done about the bomb too. I'd like to address that too.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Okay.
Talk about because the consensus was with some of our listeners, they said we didn't need the bomb. The war was over anyway, and I said it ended the war real quick. So that was the two sides. So you give us your 2 cents.
Well, it's funny you said that, because one day I'm driving over the causeway to Margate, and I'm listening to the radio, Don Williams, my buddy, and I hear somebody
on another station. Oops.
That's all right. We're on the same team. But I hear somebody call up, and that was the exact question. This gentleman was all upset and everything. So I pulled over very calmly, because I'm a very emotional person. And I said, Don, I'd just like to clarify what that gentleman said. Okay, just think for a moment about what happened in Hawaii, okay? The attack on the United States. But more importantly, once we went to war with Japan, okay, just a simple answer, and I'll get into a little further if you want me to, but we saved over 500,000 Americans. They have 500,000 body bags for American soldiers for the actual invasion of Japan. And we're going to kill 2-3 million Japanese. They had over 2-3 million Japanese trained with punji sticks to fight the American invasion. So the bomb, first of all, I want to clarify something. The bomb was a terrible tragedy. And I know the figures. It's 150,000 people, men, women, and children. So you got to look at the big picture and everything. We actually saved people. I don't know if that makes any sense. So that's the short story of it. But if you want, I can get it further. But I'll leave it up to you. Go
ahead. I know you could go on forever.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, can you talk about the website and what people can see on the website?
Yeah. So on the website is we just shortened it. So it was Bernie Friedenberg WWII warmemorial.com. We are in the process of shortening the website currently right now. I believe I'll check it in a second and give the correct website address. But on the website, you're going to get stories of Bernie. You're going to get the history of the making of the monument. You're going to see all of our donors. You're going to see all of the different groups that contributed to making this happen. And it is amazing to see the selflessness of people who have donated time and money and products and goods to get us to where we are today.
So the consensus is that you're doing this so that people can really honor our freedom, as opposed to maybe talking about a war, a specific war. It's really more about what he has done. And,
absolutely. It's more of the sacrifice of our fellow Americans to get us to where we are today.
So it really would kind of apply to all wars, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think we realize how fortunate we are to be in this country. And how, but the price of freedom, I don't think people know. We're starting from a Revolutionary War. When George Washington at Valley Forge, the sacrifices that people have made. They say freedom is not free, but there's a big story behind that. I'm not going to get into it right now.
Yeah.
But we must, I think we need to educate ourselves a little bit better, and why we have all these freedoms and these wonderful rights in this country of ours.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you a story.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I visited the Philippines about, I'd say, 20 years ago. Okay. I could not believe what I saw. I mean, let me tell you when I came back to this country, I landed in Detroit, connecting flight Detroit to Philadelphia. But I landed in Detroit. I got off, I literally kissed the ground. That's how much. That's the first time I really saw how other people live. So
and that's a perfect example, John. See, here's the thing that I worked with our former Congressman Frank Labiondo for 24 years as a liaison.
Yes.
And I said, Frank, when we go over the Walt Whitman Bridge, there's a ship on the right there called USS United States. He says, why don't you see if you can get $50-60 million fix that ship? And I want to put about 20,000 students on there and go nowhere. Not a place really dangerous, just Central America, because you can read it in the books, you can see it in the movies, but your story, we just said, you have to see. You got to see the mange and the dog.
That's right.
You got to see the poverty, the misery, the people that are crippled. That's what you have to see and smell it.
Speaking of dogs, all of the dogs and cats look like they were starving.
They all in the mange, yes.
So we are coming up on a break. We have more to talk about with Mike Bongiorno. He's a veterans advocate, and Marco Polo Smigliani. I like that name.
Yeah, thank you.
He is an American patriot, a veterans advocate. We are talking about the World War II Memorial to Bernie Friedenberg, which is unveiled on June 6th. It'll be at 12 noon at O'Donnell Memorial Park in Atlantic City, and the guys are here talking about it. If you have a question or you want to thank these veterans for their service or whatever, to any veteran, 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio, 609-407-1450. I'm John DeMasi. More with Marco and Mike right after these words.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusofAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusofAtlanticCity.com. Or if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusofAtlanticCity.com.
Marco and Mike are here. They are veterans advocates, and they're talking about the Bernie Friedenberg World War II Memorial. When you get the new website, let us know, Mike, because the old one is like reading a book.
So I have it.
Okay,
whenever you're ready.
Go ahead.
It is bfww2.com. So bfww2.com.
It took you a while to figure it out, to shorten it, but you finally did it.
We got there.
Yeah, we got there. So you can go to that website and check it out. But what will you find on the website, Mike? What are some of the things that are on there, and how can you get educated when you go to that website?
So when you go onto the website, you're going to see, again, you're going to see this, some stories about Bernie, about his life and about his history. We are working on having links to all of the battles that occurred during World War II, as well as, just to go back to your question earlier with the education and everything on the monument. We're going to be working with the Atlantic City Library to create a QR code, so anybody that does visit, they'll be able to scan that QR code, and it's going to take you to the history of the actual monument, the history of the war, and all of the battles that encompass the entire World War II.
Who were some of the donors, Marco? Do you want to just mention a couple of them?
It was just, Leo Schofer was a friend of mine that I went to for advice, and he and his dad was a friend of mine, and both were friends, and they only, excuse me, not only did they donate $10,000, but Leo was instrumental in kind of put me on a road to what to do and how not to do, and we had another lady from Connecticut, her name's Terry. I can't think of her last name. She gave us $20,000. Kramer Beverage, Joe Viviani from Boardwalk Honda. I mean, there was all kinds of different people. They were my customers when I had my restaurant. This is what I love about America. 20 years later, I go to these people looking for help. They embraced me, and the support they gave me. But there was thousands of, this is like a cast of thousands, from the little child that her flag that we used to give out, raising money from our store, gave 50 cents to somebody, gave $10,000. Every spectrum of society has been out there help support us. This has been going on for 5 years now. So
I know. Well, actually, we got a call last year, and we ran a public service announcement, and it was supposed to be last year, right? And then something happened. And
I'm a combat veteran, okay? So once that first shot goes off, you know what else going to happen. So you got to adapt and you got to proceed. And it's been, let me tell you, this has been one of the most difficult things in my life. And I've done a lot of stuff in my life that's just not only the money, the people, the all involved, and then you had the CRDA, and then you had the Atlantic City. It was just really, really complicated.
Yeah, nothing worthwhile isn't not complicated, So, Mike, did you want to add something?
Yeah. So the one that we actually have been forgetting is Lynn Canfield and the Bricklayers Union. They have gone above and beyond, not only helping us with this project, but a smaller project of repairing the Purple Heart monument we have in O'Donnell Park as well. So they have been an integral part of making things happen for us.
So you have a lot of people to thank.
We can't even. We
would take up the whole hour if you had to thank all the people.
It would take more than an hour.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, like Bruno Concrete and Massett Construction and Sasha over there, Tom Sykes, and I mean so many people that just. Without them, this never would have happened. I mean, it doesn't seem like it seems like a small thing, but the endeavor that it took, it just incredible.
Well, you had to raise $1 million. Who can do that?
That was the hard part.
But that was the hard part, is right.
Yeah, we had a deal from Trenton to Atlantic City, the county, and all of these, parts over there with the monument itself, and then there's a million different parts moving. It's just really complicated.
So if somebody says to you, "I want to build a statue,"
That's it.
You're not doing it again?
Well, previous to this, we built the Veterans Museum for 4 years. I was on that committee with Dick Squires, who just passed away. We built the museum over there in Estelle Manor. That was 4 years. That was like a breeze compared to this. This has just took a life of its own. We had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of different things happen, and it just. But I made a commitment. Mike came in later on. All the people that have committed to this, I will never forget them. I'm really, to each one of you, wherever you are, I can't mention all your names right now because we'll be here for the next hour. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for all you have done and continue to do to make this project come to fruition. I know it's been very, very difficult, but this will be one of the best hours in your life. You can look back. This will be part of your legacy also.
What do you want people to take out of this should they come to the event? And again, it's June 6th, 12 noon at O'Donnell Memorial Park. I had a note here. It said, please come early.
Well, they anticipate 750 to 1,000 people coming.
Oh, wow.
So the monument itself is just a piece of stone and bronze. But the symbolism of the sacrifice made by the 16 million Americans, and I keep on going back to that, because I was born right after World War II. I was born in Italy. Our village was devastated. Coming to America, and then, like you said, travel out. I was in a merchant marine for 4 years. I was in Hong Kong, Singapore, Africa, all over the world. And the poverty and the misery I saw.
God, yeah.
And to me, to be able to, America, be an American, to me, this is the greatest gift. I like to say all the time that the greatest gift my parents gave me outside of life was bringing me to America.
Mike, what do you want people to take out of this? If they attend or if they don't attend, what do you want them to take out of this?
So to me, the biggest thing that I've noticed and I've seen out of here is the way that the community has come together. All walks of life, the amount of civilian patriots that exist in our area and in our country that help make this happen. To me, that's one of my biggest takeaways from being part of this project. But it's also, I hope to educate as well. I hope to see the younger generation have more education on the history of our country. You can ask a lot of the younger kids, ask them what June 6th means, and they would tell you it's the day after June 5th. And that's
right.
That's
what I thought. Yeah.
And I hope that projects like this and monuments like this help alter the educational system, to where our young kids coming up understand the sacrifices that were made, by their grandparents or great grandparents.
Yeah, I have a grandson who's 12, and I'm thinking, as you're saying this, he would have no idea what this is all about. So I get how could we spend more time in schools talking about this?
Well, yesterday we were there, not just for this. That goes back to Bernie Friedenberg. What happened was the World War II veterans were my heroes, and they still are. But one thing, I used to fight with them all the time. I mean, really get into arguments with them, because they did not want to talk about World War II, the sacrifices they made, where they were, and what the price of freedom really is. I would force them to go to school, and we went to a lot of schools. As a matter of fact, yesterday, Mike and I went, we addressed a couple of hundred students. For Veterans Day, we addressed about 3,000 students. And in the early days, I used to take all of World War II with maps, and if you could hear the stories they used to tell, once they kind of loosened up, everybody was just, you could hear a pin drop. It was that powerful and everything. To have these actual World War II veterans that were there. They were at the Battle of the Bulge. Like Bernie, he was at every battle, from the landing of Sicily all the way to the Battle of the Bulge. 84,000 Americans either killed or wounded in the Battle of the Bulge. They were executed in back of trucks. Oh. And the stories you hear, just absolutely incredible. And here they were. This guy, Mike Rock. Yeah, I got shot down from the plane. I got there. The German came at me with a bayonet. I killed. I mean, this is a man. I'm just, my hair standing on it. He did it. He was there for that. You know what I mean? So it just, it came alive. But I'm just going to touch up on what you said for a minute. What really changed my life about all of this last 5 years is I cannot believe the wonderful, caring American people. If you watch the news, you think this is the worst country in the world. Everything's destroyed. Let me tell you, wherever I went, I hug and kiss everybody. They were out there to help. They were kind. They want to support. It's just incredible. There's a whole other side to this country that young people don't even know. And I wish I would try to expose them to this. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, and I think that should be more of an emphasis than some of the stuff that they're teaching today, which let's not get into that. But I mean, really, I've gotten into it many times and criticized some of the school boards. So, I mean, this is something that I think gives the students much more substance than the other stuff.
Mike is actually, you hit a sour note. Just very easy. Hit that easy.
Yeah. Go ahead. I know you wanted to say something.
Yeah. So
as soon as I said that,
it's been very frustrating. My wife joined a local school board for purposes of what we're talking about now. It's the focus of our education isn't actually education. It's pure indoctrination.
Yes.
And we need to get back to the educational part and teach our young kids, the history of the United States, how we became a country, why we became a country, and all of those reasons. And I believe if we can get back to that, the insanity that is going on currently, that should subside.
Yes.
Because the whole reason we became a country is what's going on with our government right now.
Yes, that's right. I mean, we don't want to talk about puberty blockers, do we? I mean, or World War II.
That's your job. Your grandfather, your father,
right.
Not the school.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you guys for coming on the show. It's a marvelous thing you've done, not only to serve your country, but to do this project and to live with this for 5 years. You want to do another 5 years? Listen, Harry Hurley wants you to put up a statue to him. Is that possible? You think you can?
I'm done with statues. But
Marco didn't have a gray hair 5 years ago.
That's right.
I will continue to work with them.
You want to give out the website again?
Yes, it is bfww2.com. And I will ask if you don't mind. So we are at the very end. Our unveiling is coming very quickly. And we are also still short on funds for certain things that we do need to complete. So on that website, there are links, there are addresses so you can help donate. We are a true 501c, so any donation you does go, is a tax deductible. So anything that anyone out there can do to help us, we greatly appreciate it. And if I overstep my bounds, I apologize.
No. Look, that's what you're here for.
I just want to say thank you, John and Chris, and God bless you, and God bless America, the greatest nation ever put on the face of this earth.
Okay. Marco Polo. I wanted to do that. Marco Polo. Marco Polo Smigliani, Mike Bongiorno, two nice Irish boys. Good luck with the project. June 6th, 12 noon, O'Donnell Memorial Park in Atlantic City.
And you're going to be there, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Bernie Friedenberg War Memorial unveiling, and we thank them for coming on. More Talk with a Purpose right after these words.
The finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere? Check. Award-winning gift baskets and fruit baskets? Check. Baked goods and prepared foods? Check. They check all the boxes. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield. And that's not all. Gourmet items, specialty foods, and catering for all occasions. It's all right there. Check them out online at bfmazzio.com. That's bfmazzio.com. B.F. Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
Did you know that over the past 7 years, more than 55% of all crashes in New Jersey were the result of speed, distracted driving, and/or impaired driving? While that number may seem scary, you don't have to be part of the statistic here in Atlantic County. Hi, I'm Officer Thumbhart from the Hamilton Township Police Department, here to tell you about the 3 simple things you can do behind the wheel of your vehicle to not only be a safe driver, but to make the roadways safer for others. First, put the phone down. Leave it alone. Mobile devices used behind the wheel are against the law, and drivers caught face a fine. Second, wait until you're parked or at a complete stop to adjust the radio or a navigation system. And last, avoid taking your eyes off the road for eating, grooming, and reading. They have no place behind the wheel. By driving distraction-free, you can help to keep our streets and highways a safe place for pedestrians and drivers in our area. This message was brought to you by the Township of Hamilton Police Department and Oakhurst High School Media.
Your WPG Talk Radio 95.5 AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. Cloudy skies this afternoon with a shower. We'll see an afternoon high of 67. Mostly cloudy skies for tonight with a low of 53. Cloudy tomorrow morning, then intervals of clouds and sun for the afternoon. Tomorrow we'll see a high of 69. Mostly sunny Monday, a delightful start to the week. We'll reach a high Monday of 71. I'm AccuWeather's Drew Shannon on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose, 609-407-1450. We'll open the phone lines again here for, I guess, the final 20 minutes or so of the show as we continue to talk about what we were talking about before. And that is, well, the JFK assassination. Do you think Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone? Or do you think it was a conspiracy? Frank said it was Lee Harvey Oswald by himself, and others have said differently. Where do you stand on that? We can still talk about that. The prediction that I said at the beginning of the show, Donald Trump will win the election. Do you think so? 609-407-1450. And this I wanted to talk about. This thing with Marty and LaQuetta Small, I really do feel bad about this, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. But the city of Ventnor has asked LaQuetta Small to resign as superintendent of schools in Atlantic City. Speaking of that, both Mayor Small and Superintendent LaQuetta Small waived their first court appearance, and that was on Wednesday. They are now scheduled to appear in Atlantic County Superior Court on June 17th for a pre-indictment conference. Mayor Small was charged with terroristic threats, aggravated assault, and disorderly persons simple assault. And Superintendent Small was charged with 3 counts of disorderly persons simple assault. So, June 17th, they're going for a pre-indictment conference. We'll see where that goes. And, of course, they're represented by Eddie Jacobs, the attorney, in this matter. So we'll see what happens there. But I said this a couple of weeks ago, that a lot of this, or actually all of this, stems from the fact that the Smalls didn't like their daughter's boyfriend. And they were trying to prevent her from seeing him. And supposedly the daughter was pregnant and so on and so forth. And so they were, this is what the concern was. And I've been in this situation. And, it all turned out good in the end because my godson did not get a girl pregnant, but he was seeing her. He was seeing a girl, and she was saying, she wanted to marry him. And she was 14, he was 16. Thank you. I mean, so I really didn't, want to deal with this, but I was forced to deal with it because the boy had no father, and I was really the parent. So guess what? I was thrust into this thing. Well, whatever. But I do feel bad for the Smalls, and I hope that it turns out okay. But Ventnor's asking for LaQuetta Small to resign. Who knows? It's just a very tough situation. Linda is in Margate. Linda, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Hi, how are you, John?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I listened to your show. I just wanted to go back to your past audience with the gentlemen that were on. And what I wanted to say was thank you for their service. And I also have a comment to make that my daughter portrays Betsy Ross in the Philadelphia iconic Betsy Ross house in Philly.
Okay.
And she sees hundreds and hundreds of people a week, and a lot of them are foreigners. And the one thing that sticks out in her mind is that when the foreigners come in, they literally stand there and cry when they see our flag. and I just wanted to portray that to your audience.
Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. That's very nice.
And I also work in the veterinary school, and also about the small case, I do agree with that, because a lot of our children go on to Atlantic City High School.
Yes.
So I do hope that they settle that.
Yeah, I do too. It's a tough situation. You're a parent, I'm assuming. You're a parent, I'm assuming.
Yes, not of young children anymore, but I still have all the children in my school, and I feel for the situation.
Yeah.
So
it's tough, you know. When they grow up, and especially at the age 16 or 15 or whatever, they think they know everything and they think they've experienced everything, and of course they haven't. So and they think they know it all. So, you know, it's very tough for parents at that point.
that is true.
Yeah.
But I like your show, listen to it as much as I can, and I just wanted to just add that comment, and thanks for your guest service that were there.
Thank you, Linda. Thanks for the kind words. John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome back.
Yes, I want to add some clarity to about the JFK assassination. Now, Lee Harvey Oswald was a pencil pusher. He was not a sharpshooter in the military, in the Marines. Now,
yeah, I knew that, yes.
Yes. Now, if he had access to inventory, he would have not picked the shottiest gun in the ammo gun catalog, which is a miniature Carkin, a 9138 bolt action rifle. He would have picked something a little bit better. Also, it was Robert McClellan from Parkland Hospital, the man elected to do the tracheotomy on President Kennedy's throat, that felt a hole 5 inches in diameter in the back of John Kennedy's head. That's bigger than a necklet medallion. Okay. So the photo that shows a small, tiny entry wound in the back of John Kennedy's head is obviously a Photoshop.
You know, how many weeks have we said, John, fix your phone? Right in the middle. Boom, it goes out. John, fix your phone. Do we have to get a petition from our audience to tell you to fix your phone? 609-407-1450. That's our number here in the studio. If you do fix it in the next 15 minutes, John, you can call back. 609-407-1450. This thing about the casinos, and specifically the casino workers trying to get a petition to ban smoking in the entire casino. As you know, or if you don't know, there is smoking allowed in 25% of the casino floor. But the problem is it's not in areas that are next to each other. It's like over here, over there, over here. So if you would go into one part where there's smoking, then maybe you go into another part, and I guess the air blows the smoke in there. So it's kind of like in more areas than 25%. So what they were doing the other day, the group of Atlantic City casino workers asked the judge to ban smoking in the gambling halls entirely. Let's see. The ruling banning smoking in the 9 casinos would be a seismic event, given the fact that in-person gambling still has not returned to where it was before the pandemic in 2020. And in fact, we did a couple of stories here a few weeks ago that this casino gambling symposium that was happening a couple weeks ago, they're saying that the online gambling is growing and it's continuing to grow. So it seems like, you know, that's hurting the casinos as far as in-person gambling is concerned. I mean, to me, if I'm going to gamble, and I do like visiting the casinos, I'm not a gambler, but I like the action, you know, the action that you see there in the casinos. It's really very nice, you know. So I like that, but apparently a lawsuit was filed last month by the United Auto Workers, which represents dealers at Bally's, Caesars, and Tropicana. and it's seeking to overturn New Jersey's indoor smoking ban, which bans it in virtually every workplace except the casinos. And again, it's smoking in 25% of the casinos, and the casino workers are trying to knock it out altogether. Will that happen? We'll see. But there's concern that it's going to hurt business, but will it? I don't know. But the other side of the coin is business hasn't gotten back in the casinos since before the pandemic. So we're talking four years now. So, it's a concern. 609-407-1450. Let's talk to Sarah. Sarah, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Yes, good morning. Quite a few things that I'm going to say. I'll say as brief as possible. Number one, I can testify about Mazio. When my mother passed a couple of years ago, actually the 31st is her anniversary, I sent a nice basket from there. I'm not sure if you remember King Arthur. He used to be on the
Yes, I do.
Station, but he'd send me a nice basket. And I was so surprised. So I don't want to start to bawl, but they were really, really. The basket was so beautiful.
Best of the press 9 years in a row, Sarah. So
yeah, it was so beautiful, and it was a great gesture, and I remember that every day.
Yes.
Now, regarding Marty Small, this principal has been suspended. Now, if you are in education, you are required to notify the proper authorities and make proper phone calls.
Yes.
So now, if she did not do that, shame on her. I don't care if it's your friend, if it's your mother, you have to report that, because if something did occur, it's up to, did or did not occur, it's up to them to investigate it. And if you do not, then you're just as guilty.
Yeah.
I don't know what occurred. I wasn't there, but that's the law.
Yes.
For anyone, even someone working at a hospital or any institution
You're right.
around
Yeah.
the vulnerable.
You're right. But,
So-
Sarah, the individual in question, the principal of the school, was also Marty Small's campaign manager.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I mean, it was.
Matter. You're just as guilty.
Yeah, it's a conflict of interest there, So that's what.
And regarding World War II, the gentleman that were on, I agree with dropping the bomb, because look what happened with 9/11.
Yeah.
People didn't care about our lives.
That's right.
When they went over, Hawaii, did they care?
No,
No.
they didn't.
So
No.
you have to fight fire with fire.
That's right.
And a couple of weeks ago, a gentleman had said something about Germany was under great stress and they didn't realize what Hitler was about. I say that's ridiculous.
You know what he was about. You know what he was about from day one.
Gassing people.
Yeah.
He's killing all these people. How could you be that blind?
Oh,
it's not.
yeah.
It's just unbelievable. And last of all, of Trump, I believe it was Newsweek, one of these stories online. When I looked at it, it said Trump takes a stab at Springsteen. That was the headline. Out of all what was said, that was a headline. And they reached out to Springsteen for comment. There was nothing about, inflation. There was nothing about the failed policies of Biden.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well,
but the headline was, he took a stab at Springsteen.
What did he say?
They blind to see?
Yeah, that's really important, taking a stab at Springsteen when you're
that
right.
has nothing to do with what is going on now, that people are unhappy. People are working more, paying more, putting out more, fail for the foreign policy, fail for education, fail for taxes. Everything is up. And I have a friend, and they like Biden. And they was talking all this trash. And when I started saying these things, are you happy with paying more groceries? Are you happy with the border? I don't want to talk about politics anymore. I don't want to talk. But you can just say whatever you want. I was on that side of the fence.
Yeah, you were. I remember.
Those lies. I believed it, but my eyes are open.
Yes. Well,
my eyes are open. I'm not blind anymore.
I'm glad you are. Sarah, thank you. Thanks for the call. Good stuff. Greg and Absecon. Greg, good morning. Welcome.
Massey, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
As far as Lee Osborne, he had lines to and from Russia. He married a Russian.
Yes.
Was there any contact that was negative? We don't know, but they can't be not denied. He traveled extensively. Where did all these funds come from?
Yeah.
He wasn't earning them.
No, he wasn't.
Busy moving around.
Yeah.
As far as the wars we've fought, the people that have died, for us to forget it is a disgrace.
Yes.
Children, I'll give them a pass. To their teachers, I say you should be ashamed of yourself. That these kids can go out and carry on the way they are, and it's because of your lack of true learning or teaching that's taken place.
Yeah, that's right.
And as far as our statuary that's been taken down, when the hell are you putting it back?
Which one's that?
Take a pick. We have a local at Stockton.
Yeah.
In Virginia, it's Jefferson. They've taken his marquees off the college. I mean, these people made contributions that we will never understand.
How about Christopher Columbus? How about that one?
Exactly.
Yeah. In Atlantic City.
Right.
Took it down. Yeah.
Where would we have been if he didn't make the trips with the boats over here?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We'd be speaking a foreign language now.
Exactly. And still trying to find the place, probably.
Yeah.
Have a good one,
You
John.
too. Thanks for the call, Greg. DJ in Summers Point. DJ, welcome.
How you doing, John?
How you doing? Good to have you.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was glad to hear Marco and the other guy on the radio today. Yeah, I've heard Marco numerous times on the radio. What a cool guy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he, like me, a Vietnam vet. He knows his stuff, right? Nothing but service.
Yes.
Since his days in Nam. And I like his presentation and answering your question about the bomb. The bomb.
Yeah.
Hey. It was done.
That's right.
In my opinion. And my father was a World War II bomber pilot, shot down twice. Right?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I know a little bit about World War II.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it much, but, I know a little bit about it. But, the thing is, we had a total of 291,000 people actually killed, soldiers, other people, 113,000, total of over 400,000, and total casualties, et cetera, over 1 million. And what Marco was pointing out, it's a good thing, is they had things up their sleeve, so to speak, or what they had a plan to do to continue this war.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is we dropped the first one. Now, after we dropped the first one, I didn't see anybody's hands go up. Did you?
No.
Did I see anybody over in Japan waving the white flag?
No.
Now, it wasn't for a couple of days later. No response, right?
Right.
And bomb number 2.
Now we got him. Yeah.
The history of what, it wasn't until 5 or 6 days later that they finally said enough.
Yeah.
So don't put the crying towels away. All right?
I agree with you.
You started it. The United States finished it.
That's
Plain
right.
and simple.
That's right.
Now, nobody wants to lose that many lives, civilian, right, or military. But what it did is started people seeing what that type of bomb can do. Have we had any more bombs of that magnitude or similar drops since?
No.
I rest my case, Your Honor. We'll now turn it over for cross-examination.
Okay. Yeah,
Think about it that way.
I agree with it.
Know the devastation it will bring.
Yeah.
And kind of keeps all the big major powers, and we're one of them, kind of keeps them in check.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll fight wars by a lot of other means.
Yeah.
Sophisticated bombs, et cetera, but we're hopefully and thankfully everybody stayed away from the big one because it'd be devastating.
Yeah.
And no country, the big power countries, wants to deal with that devastation it would bring.
Yeah. I agree.
But I agree with what Marco said, and he was pointing out. And if people go and do a little research and said, "Oh, Japan they weren't going to raise their hands," they had plans.
Yeah, I like the argument people were given a few weeks ago. They said, "Oh, the war was over anyway. We shouldn't have dropped the bomb." Well,
it was.
I didn't.
It might have been over maybe on the German part, right?
Yeah, but
But it sure wasn't over as far as Japan.
No, it's true. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I'm all for dropping the bomb. They started it, we finished it. That's plain and simple.
And as far as the Kennedy thing, that's going to be debated long after we're gone.
That's right. That's right. I still.
But if it was only him, he's one hell of a shot.
Yeah, he sure. I don't see how he could have done that. I just don't see it. It baffles me because he wasn't a sharpshooter. He certainly wasn't. He was only a fair shot at that. So. Hey,
and hitting a moving target.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Hitting a moving target. Unbelievable.
Yeah. DJ, thanks a lot for the call. We are rapidly running out of time here on the program. That's going to put the wraps on another edition of Talk with a Purpose. Thanks to Chris Coleman, our program director and producer. Thanks to Marco Polo Smigliani and Mike Bongiorno, veterans advocates, for coming on and talking about the Bernie Friedman Memorial. And that will be June the 6th. 12 noon, Thursday, June 6th at O'Donnell Park in Atlantic City. I'm your host, John DeMasi. Thank you for listening. Seth Grossman next week. You mean I get a week off? How did I do that? I don't know how I did it, but anyway, I'll see you in 2 with Talk with a Purpose, but stay tuned for Seth next week because I'm sure he's going to have plenty to say. And you can beat him up for 3 hours, all right? I'm John DeMasi. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you in a couple of weeks here. Talk with a Purpose, 9 to noon, Saturdays, right here. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You take care.
The preceding program was paid for and presented by John DeMasi.